The capture. The KRYL Dominion had conquered 100 worlds before the name Earth ever reached their charts. To them, humanity was just another primitive species clinging to rocks in the void. They expected the same thing they always saw when their fleets descended from the dark: panic, surrender, and silence. But the humans had not gone quietly. The mining colony on Asterion 9 was little more than steel prefabs and drills chewing into a red, dusty world. It wasn't a fortress. It wasn't even a military post. But when the KRYL raiding fleet arrived, expecting to scoop up resources and slaves without resistance, they met fire. Automated turrets roared. Missiles streaked upward like angry thunderbolts. And from the shadows of the colony, human soldiers fought with the kind of ferocity the KRYL hadn't seen in centuries. Sergeant Elias Ward was one of them. He had been a soldier for over a decade, blooded in wars on Earth and beyond. He knew how to fight without air support, without reinforcements, without hope. On Asterion 9, that was exactly the kind of fight they had been handed. For 2 days straight, the humans resisted. Elias led small fireteams through collapsing tunnels, striking the KRYL where they least expected. Every explosion, every ambush, cost the aliens more blood than they thought possible from soft creatures. But numbers were numbers, and the KRYL had plenty. Their war machines eventually broke through the colony's defenses. The prefabs were leveled. The automated turrets silenced. The human defenders dwindled, pulled apart under the weight of superior firepower. When the battle ended, the KRYL stalked through the wreckage, searching for survivors. That was when they found him. Elias was battered, his rifle empty, knife dulled, blood streaking down one arm where shrapnel had ripped through him. He had killed until there was nothing left to kill with, and still he stood, defiant, unbroken. The KRYL encircled him, scaled warriors 3 meters tall with bone armor bristling from their hides. Their commander hissed in amusement, as if the human was little more than a captured animal. "Chain him," the alien barked. The restraints clamped down hard around Elias's wrists, digging into his skin. The aliens shoved him forward, dragging him through the ruin of his colony. He saw the bodies of his squadmates lying broken in the dust. He said nothing. But he memorized everything. The smell of KRYL blood in the air. The way their armor shifted when they walked. The sightlines of their rifles. The position of the transport ship waiting to take him. The KRYL didn't notice. To them, this was routine, another species broken, another soldier captured to be paraded before the Dominion as a trophy. They herded him up the ramp of the warship KLA Thor with jeering laughter. Inside, the alien ship was a cavern of steel and shadow. The corridors glowed with sickly green light. The walls thrummed with the steady pulse of engines. Elias was dragged past other prisoners. Miners, civilians, even children, caged like animals. Most of them were slumped in defeat, eyes empty. But when they looked at Elias, they saw something else. He was upright. His gaze was sharp, steady, unyielding. The guards noticed too. One of them sneered, jabbing the butt of his rifle into Elias's ribs. The sergeant grunted but didn't break stride. Finally, they threw him into a holding cell and sealed the energy barrier behind him. Chains bound him to the wall, heavy enough that even a strong human couldn't hope to pull free. The guards left, still laughing. To them, the war was over. The human was theirs. Elias sat there in the dim humming silence. He let the pain settle into his bones, steadying his breath. He replayed every step since the moment of his capture. Every guard's position. Every security checkpoint. The rhythm of their patrol boots on the metal floors. He wasn't broken. Not yet. The KRYL had captured a human, but what they had really done was something far worse. They had locked a predator in a cage inside their own ship. And Elias Ward was already thinking of ways out. The spark of fear. The KRYL Dominion prided itself on discipline. Their ships were said to run like clockwork, their soldiers drilled to perfection, their fleets unmatched in firepower. On paper, the KLA Thor, flagship of the 7th Expansionary Legion, was invulnerable. But numbers, training, and pride had never faced someone like Elias Ward. He was chained in a cell carved into the belly of the ship, a metal cage humming with alien energy. The floor was cold, the air sharp with chemicals meant to sting human lungs. The KRYL thought such tactics weakened prisoners. They didn't understand humans. Pain wasn't weakness, it was fuel. Elias had been listening since the moment they dragged him aboard. The way the guards' claws clicked on the deck when they passed. The hiss of pressure seals as doors opened and closed. The guttural cadence of alien orders shouted down corridors. Every detail went into his mind, a soldier's ledger of survival. One guard mocked him daily, jabbing a claw at his ribs through the cage. Soft prey. Break easy. Make good example. Elias never responded. He only stared, memorizing the angle of the guard's rifle, the latch on his armor, the timing of his footsteps. When the opportunity came, it was sudden. The ship shuddered as it passed through a debris field, and the power in the brig flickered. For 3 seconds, the humming field around his cage stuttered. 3 seconds was enough. Elias lunged, chains tearing at his wrists as he hurled his body forward. His shoulder slammed into the guard, sending both of them sprawling into the corridor. Before the alien could recover, Elias twisted the chain around its throat and pulled with the strength of a man who had survived war and fire and the weight of watching his world burn. The guard clawed desperately, hissing for help, but Elias didn't let go until the body went limp. He stripped the alien's sidearm, tore the comm unit from its belt, and pressed against the corridor wall as boots thundered closer. 2 more guards appeared, rifles ready. Elias fired first. The alien weapon spat green plasma, scorching holes through armor and flesh alike. Both fell before they even had time to roar. 3 guards down. A rifle in hand. The Thor's prison deck was no longer secure. Sirens began to howl, a shrieking alien wail. Lights flared red, casting shadows across the steel walls. Elias moved quickly, low and fast, the way he'd done in urban battlefields back on Earth. He found a console, gutted its panel with the butt of his rifle, and stared at the alien glyphs until instinct took over. Patterns, shapes, symmetry. He'd learned long ago that technology, no matter the species, had logic. His fingers moved over glowing symbols until the cages hissed open. Dozens of humans stumbled out, thin, beaten, their eyes wide with disbelief. "You're free," Elias said, his voice steady despite the blood smeared across his jaw. "Arm yourselves." They hesitated only a moment before rushing to strip the fallen guards of their weapons. Fear became fire in their eyes. Hope was dangerous, and Elias had just lit it. The Dominion officers were already responding. Bulkheads slammed shut. Security drones dropped from the ceiling like spiders, their optics glowing with murderous intent. Elias didn't hesitate. He raised the alien rifle and blasted the first drone out of the air. "Form up," he barked, his old command voice cutting through panic. 2 to a flank, weapons high. Don't waste shots. Move on my lead. The prisoners obeyed. Their steps grew steadier as adrenaline replaced despair. For the first time in months, maybe years, they weren't prey. They were soldiers again. Together, they carved through the brig deck. Plasma fire lit the corridors. Drones fell, their metal shells sparking. KRYL soldiers arrived in squads, confident in their numbers, only to be cut down by humans fighting with desperation born of survival. And at the center of it all, Elias moved like a storm, every strike precise, every kill deliberate. On the command bridge, Captain Vrokoth snarled at the reports streaming across his display. "One prisoner has killed a squad and freed the pens." His mandibles clicked furiously. "This is impossible." A trembling officer hissed, "The human fights like a beast. Unstoppable. Our soldiers report." Vrokoth slammed a clawed fist into the console, silencing him. "Unstoppable? He bleeds. He dies. Bring me his head." But even as he roared the order, a thin thread of unease coiled in his chest. The KRYL had fought humans before. They were tough, yes. Resilient. But this? One man turning an entire brig into a battlefield? That wasn't prey. That was something else. Something dangerous. Elias reached the lift shafts. He slammed a stolen badge against the reader, overriding it, and the doors slid open. Inside, alien sigils glowed faintly. He turned to the ragged humans behind him. This ship is theirs for now. But not for long. Stick together, keep moving, don't stop until you're out of this hell. If I don't make it. A woman, her face lined with scars, stepped forward. You're coming with us. Elias shook his head. No. I'm going up. To the bridge. Shock rippled through the survivors. The bridge was suicide. Everyone knew it. Thousands of aliens crewed this vessel. But Elias's gaze was iron. They came for war. They thought we'd roll over and die. I'm going to make sure this war ends before it begins. The lift doors closed, carrying him upward into the heart of the beast. As the shaft hummed, Elias checked the stolen rifle's charge and the knife at his belt. He flexed his torn wrists, ignoring the sting. He thought of Earth. Of the burning skies when the HFY descended. Of the screams. Of the silence after. His jaw tightened. The aliens thought capturing him would break humanity's will. Instead, they had given him the one weapon he needed most, a chance. The lift slowed. The doors slid open. Ahead stretched a corridor of steel and firelight, lined with armored guards. At the far end, the doors to the bridge gleamed. Elias stepped out, rifle raised. The war wasn't just beginning. It was ending. The message. The HFY commander demanded the human recaptured alive, for interrogation. But Elias had other plans. He hijacked the ship's communications array and broadcast a single message across subspace. Not in words, but in images. Footage of fallen HFY soldiers. Footage of one human standing against an army. Footage of fire tearing through their flagship's corridors. The message reached every listening post, every HFY ship, every border world. You thought Earth was weak. You thought we would break. But if you take one of us, if you dare chain a human, you will never see the end of what we'll do to you. The HFY expected mercy, negotiation, or at least diplomacy. Instead, they received a declaration of total war. The end of the war. By the time reinforcements arrived, it was already too late. The captured warship drifted lifeless, its core breached. Elias had vanished into an escape pod, leaving only wreckage behind. The Dominion Council assembled, shaken. This was not like other conquests. Their fleets had crushed entire species with barely a fight. But humans? Humans turned captivity into slaughter. One captive had destroyed a warship. One human had ended a war before it began, not because of overwhelming numbers, but because of the sheer terror that spread through HFY ranks. They refused to engage Earth again, fearing that every battle would turn into a massacre. The HFY renamed the incident in their records, the Day of Ashes. On Earth, Elias Ward returned quietly, decorated yet scarred. He never boasted. He never claimed glory. For him, survival was enough. But for the galaxy, his name became a legend, proof that when humans are cornered, they are the most dangerous beings alive.